Say hello to everybody. Now, we have some new people here. I just want to call out some of the comments that I saw in the chat before here. S. Rose says, immaculate vibes this morning with the good tunes. I'm a big fan of the chill hop. I've been listening to that stuff since I was really young. So it's just good vibe builder. All right. And we do have some new people here. So I wanted to call out a few of our new folks. I wanted to call out, let's see here. Get the post here. All right, I want to call out Nicholas Cato Strode. Welcome. Welcome, first Power Hour. So excited to have you here. We'll go over the Power Hour rules, so to speak. But Rachel T got you all squared away. So thank you, Rachel, for giving folks an orientation here. And let's see, who else is... there's so many comments. I can't get to all of them. Sabrina Kaliha. I hope I said your last name correctly. Welcome. Welcome. I know you've been in the community for a while. So first Writing Power Hour, hoping to finish chapter 4 of my sci-fi sequel, Conspiracy. All right. Well, good luck. And Dharma joining from Surprise, Arizona. Gonna hit 90 degrees today. Surprise. Yeah, I think it's like, what is it? It's 43 degrees here in Iowa right now. So it's half of what it is in Surprise, Arizona. So, okay. Rachel T says, I write articles, but nothing well known. I write for a cannabis media company. Ooh, that's interesting. And co-host a podcast of the same genre, hoping to become an author at some point, just to put in the work. Well, hey, you're here, and the way I see it, you're putting in the work. So, awesome stuff. All right. Oh, Rachel, thank you. I'm looking forward to checking out your work. Backstory is beautiful. Well, thank you very much. I appreciate that. Deborah, working on my first completed manuscript. I have 6 in progress. Okay, can't seem to finish one to publish it. Well, hey, pick the one you're most passionate about and go for it. That's what I would say. Let's see. Dharma, I'm writing my 9th crime thriller. All right, 9 books. Good stuff. Due to the editor at the first of the year. Okay, almost done with the first draft. So you're making progress, and the first of the year is going to be here before we know it. All right. Travis says, I'm glad to be able to join today. Unfortunately, not writing for myself. I was hired as an editor. Okay, well, hey, this is about productivity. It's not necessarily, yeah, we want to write, but I'm not writing today either, Travis. So, plot twist. All right, let's see here. Okay, audio's working. Okay. If you guys want to give me a heart attack, just say there's no sound or you can't see me. Um, and then I'll be like Crash Bandicoot and the little angel will come out and the power hour will be over. So as you all know, or many of you know, last power hour, there was some weird stuff going on. There's some internet goblins or something going on. I was talking and then you guys didn't hear me for a long time. And then it jumped back like 15 minutes. And then I was in the future and you guys were in the past. This sounds like a sci-fi novel, doesn't it? But that actually happened last time. So if you guys, just like I said, if you're going to give me heart flutters or something, just tell me you can't hear me. All right. Yes, Ruth Bullivant. Can you remind us where to sign up for your newsletter? Yes, you can sign up at authorlevelup.com/fan club. Authorlevelup.com/fan club. I was going to send out a reminder for today's Power Hour, but I have another email that I'm going to be sending very soon that's going to announce some books. So it's like, I didn't want to bomb my email list because not everyone is on my list for the Power Hours, and so I'm trying to be sensitive to that. What I may do, what I'm exploring in the future, is doing some sort of a dedicated list for my Power Hour peeps, so that way it's a single list. That way, only the people who get the Power Hour stuff would be on there, and I can send you reminders and other cool stuff as well. So for those of you who are like, he didn't send a reminder, it's not that I forgot. I was just trying to be cognizant of people's emails. Okay. Rachel says the Crash Bandicoot reference is everything. Yes. Yes, indeed. All right. Okay. Well, what am I working on? So, guys, the last 90 days, I've been a little busy. I finished Beast Mode. Today is October 16th. Beast mode is officially over. And in the last 90 days, I wrote, I think, 10 books. I did like 5 speaking engagements, and I wrote 250,000 words in the past 90 days, which is insane if you think about it. So I'm taking a bit of a break for a hot minute, and I'm not doing any writing today. I'm actually going to be working on organizing and cleaning up some things on my platform that has been on my mind for a while, but I just haven't been able to get to because I've been doing a lot of writing. So I've got a lot of like organizing stuff to do for taxes and cleaning up some of my book descriptions and sales pages and things like that. So that's what I'm going to be working on today, and I'll be cheering you guys on as you're writing. So, but yeah, it's kind of fun stuff. All right. So for those who are new, welcome to the Power Hour. Here's how we're going to do it. So what I like to do is I put a timer on the screen on the top right here, and I'm going to stop it because it likes to get going. I put a timer on the screen, and it starts counting down from 20 minutes. And when I put the timer on, I will go on mute, and then we will all write together. So I encourage you to write in your manuscript, edit your manuscript, whatever you want to do. All right, just be productive. And then at the end of the 20 minutes, I will come back and I will answer any writing related questions you have. I'll invite all of you to share your word count so we can cheer each other on. And then at the end of the 5 minutes, we'll do another 20-minute session, and then we'll take another 5-minute break, and then we'll do our final 20-minute session. And then I like to stay on until everybody's questions have been answered. So if you all pepper me with questions as you did last time, sometimes these power hours can go a long time. If not, they end right around 11:30 Central Time. All right. So just want to let everybody know that. And every time we have new people, I always like to explain the rules. Sometimes I'm dictating when I do these power hours, and so I'm talking, but somebody comes on and says, I can't hear him. You all know the drill here. I'm not going to be talking today, but if somebody comes on and they're like, what is he doing? I can't hear him while we're in the middle of our session, you all know what to do. All right. It's going to get to a point where I don't even need to say that anymore, but I just say it for insurance. Now, I want to let everybody know, just real quick, just some PSA stuff. I am taking part in a NaNoWriMo bundle. So I know some of you are doing NaNoWriMo. I want to let you know that I'm taking part of a bundle. It's a story bundle, and it's a pay-what-you-want model. So you can pay anywhere from $5 to get 4 books, or you can pay over $20 and get 16 books for NaNoWriMo. And one of my books, Be a Writing Machine, is in there. There's also books by the acclaimed Joanna Penn, Mark Leslie Lefebvre, Monica Leonelle, Craig Martell, lots of big names. And this bundle exists to help you win NaNoWriMo. And I've read a fair number of the books. I'm actually working my way through the bundle right now. And there's some really good stuff in here. So this is going to run through the end of NaNoWriMo, but act now because it's October 16th. And if you want to do NaNoWriMo, it's going to be here before you know it. All right. So you can grab your copy at authorlevelup.com/nanobundle. All right. Okay. And then just a reminder for anyone who's new, a little gift that I give to all my Power Hour friends. If you go to authorlevelup.com/books, you can get any of my books that you buy from me directly for 15% off. And that is a standing coupon. I just leave it out there. Only the people who watch the Power Hours know about it. So take advantage of that if there's a writing book that you want. All right. So let's go ahead and get our first session on the clock. It is 10:09. I'm going to start the timer, and we're going to come back at about 10:29. Happy writing, everybody, and we'll be back soon. All right, about 3 minutes, and then we'll pick up. 3 minutes, and then we'll pick up our first break. All right. Hope everybody had a productive writing session. Going to put the timer on now. I want to know how you did. So let me know how many words you wrote. How are you feeling about it? And let's celebrate our word counts here. So while we wait for those to come in, I've been working on organizing, trying to get all of my book information organized. So I've written, I think, 66 books at this point, and I have a lot of stuff. Like my folders and stuff are just kind of a mess. I'm trying to remember what I've got, how much everything cost, you know, everything. It's been a mess, and so I have a lot of materials and files that I need to organize. It's been a long time coming, and I'm in the process of working on like this master Excel file that basically helps me wrangle all of my information in to make sure that I've got it. And I'm just now doing it on my first book. I'm almost done with the first book, but I've got like 65 to go. All right. So, um, okay. So I'm seeing some questions come in. Okay. And seeing some numbers come in finally. Cool. Rachel T, 514. Very nice. Sabrina, 176. It was a struggle. Talk to us about why it was a struggle, Sabrina. Maybe there's something we can help with. All right. Deborah edited 5 pages. Fantastic. James wrote 400 words for the first novel. Very, very good. Stephanie, 265. All right. Nicholas, 367 in editing. Very nice. And Rachel, I feel like I'm just writing crap that I'm going to have a hard time going through trying to correct. Well, hopefully not, Rachel. You know, it's all in the mindset. And at the end of the day, hopefully, you know, with more practice, you can eventually write words that you don't have to slog through at the end of it. It can be done. All right, Dharma. Let's see here. Okay. 197 words. Had to stop and write an email to ask a legal story question of an attorney friend of mine. Very nice. That's what we call just-in-time research, my friends. Just-in-time research. Research it only when you need it. All right. Ruth says, I love these time sessions. The clock counting down forces me to tackle difficult scenes and just get the line of the story on the page. Good, good, good. Okay, Sabrina says, feeling unsure where I wanted to go. Okay, that's valid and that's legit. You still made progress though, so it's just all about moving forward. Even if it's even if it's just 100 words, that's progress, and that's better than nothing. So keep up the good work. Okay, we had some questions come in here. First things first, Darren Blake says, why are you so awesome? You're too kind. Not many people can make me wake up before 10 a.m. Pacific time, but I try because of these power hours. Well, that's awesome. We're glad to have you here, and hopefully you're not sleep deprived because that will affect your writing sessions. All right, Travis asks, when someone buys your book, which store should we buy from to give you the highest profit? That's very kind, Travis. What I would say is buy from the store that's most convenient for you as a reader, because I want you to have the best reading experience, and I want it to be in the format and on the device that's most comfortable to you. But if you're asking, certainly buying from me directly, I get a higher percentage of royalties. All right. Krish asks, isn't counting the words and sticking to the number of words one writes as an indicator of talent wrong? Also, what about the disorientation one feels while counting words and not enjoying writing? Well, Krish, it's all subjective, frankly. I believe that focusing on what you can control is the best way to be productive, because we can't focus on the quality of the story. Like, we can only do the best we can. And I believe I believe what Joanna Penn believes, which is I measure my life by what I create, and I can control what I create. And so you may not agree with that, and that's fine. But I think that it's healthy to focus on your word counts. One, because you're focused on becoming a better version of yourself. You're not comparing yourself to other people. At least you shouldn't be. And I just think it's fun. I find it fun. Some people don't find it fun. Some people find it to be a struggle, and that's fine. But this Power Hour is about those people who celebrate that. So if you're not into sticking to the number of words, try to find something else to measure your productivity by. But I just caution folks against measuring your productivity against other people. All right, let's see. Okay, Luana, sometimes it's just difficult for me to develop the confidence I need to start writing. That's a really important comment, Luana. I would say I think we all struggle with that, particularly in the beginning. What I would also say is confidence is something you pick up along the way. And the way, or an easy way to pick it up, is to do these power hours. That's one of the reasons I do them, is because I know that all of you are going to walk away from here being productive, and that's going to make you feel great, right? And the more you can do that on a regular basis, you're going to wake up one day 7 years from now, and you'll have some books under your belt, and you'll feel a lot better. But if you're beginning, it's a struggle because you don't know what you don't know, and so that's why I try to do things like this. So don't worry about the lack of confidence. Just keep putting that foot forward. Okay, I think I missed a few comments here. Let's see, and then we'll jump into our next one here. Oh, okay. Yes, Wanjiru. Editing my current manuscript. Checked your book via writing machine. I'm a very slow writer and intend to get the book and pick your brains from California. Well, hey, thank you. Thank you for purchasing the book. I hope you enjoy it. Got any questions, just reach out anytime. Okay. Let's see here. Okay. I see some other comments, but we're going to go into our next session here. Remember, folks, if you have a question, type in question in all caps with a colon, and that makes it much easier for me to see it, and that way I don't miss it. All right, so let's get the second timer on the screen. It is 10:36. We're going to come back at 10:56. Good luck, everybody. 3 minutes, everybody. Roughly 2 minutes and 30 seconds, actually, until we come back. All right. Let me know how you did, everybody. How did your word counts turn out for the session here? Get the timer on the screen. Hope everyone is doing well. First session turned out pretty well for everybody. I wrote a book description for my 20-minute session. So I wrote a new book description in 20 minutes for my very first novel, Magic Souls. So I published it in 2014, and then I republished it in 2017 under a new name. And then now it's been about 3 or 4 years. So I'm going through and kind of just taking a look at everything, seeing what needs to be refreshed, made some updates to the interior of the book in terms of the copyright page and all that stuff, reformatted it, re-exported it, and now I'm writing a new book description. And then next I'm doing some new keywords for the book, and I'm probably going to run a few new ads on it as well. So a lot of stuff I'm doing. It's a lot of cleanup. All right, so let's see how everybody's doing here. Dharma, 403 words. Very, very nice. So I think that puts you about, what, 800, I think? I think you did 400 last time. Nice work. James, 345. So everyone's starting to rack it up here. I think we're all kind of getting close to 4 digits here. Vampire Bat, 416. All right. All right, Celinda, welcome, Celinda, and it was productive. That's good. That's what we want. Productive. All right, Rachel T, 558. Okay, Sabrina, much easier, but dialogue seems to come easier for me. Yeah, it does for me too. I find that fight scenes also come easier to me as well. So we all kind of go through those phases. All right, Nicholas, 814. Very, very nice. And then Stephanie, 397. And Black Hat, 200 words this time. All right. So everybody's doing great. Everybody's doing great. I mean, I can't, I wouldn't be upset with any of those word counts, honestly. So everyone is doing a great job here. Let's see. Let's see if I missed any comments. I don't think so. Yeah, everybody's doing great. Just a quick announcement on something that I'm going to be doing. Everybody kind of, I mean, I mentioned that I was in beast mode. I am in the process of putting together another beast mode collection for everyone. So a lot of people have emailed me and have kind of commented and asked if I'm going to put together all of the books that I've published in the last 90 days into like an anthology or collection. And the answer is yes. And I'm going to be publishing it. It'll be available only on my site. And then I think last year I published it on Kobo and Google Play because they allow you to publish like books at higher price points and you still get the same royalties. So I'm going to publish them there. Don't know how much it's going to cost yet, but it's going to be a lot of books because this year I did. So this year I did I did 3 novels, and 2 of those novels were book 2s. So that doesn't really make a whole lot of sense to put in book 2. So I'm going to give in book 1s for free. So it's going to be a lot of a lot of books. And one of the things that I did last year that everybody liked is I'm going to be doing like a giveaway. So if you buy the collection, I will put your name in a raffle, or like a raffle, but like a hat or like a giveaway for 2 consulting, or 2 people will get 1 consulting session with me. And when I say consulting, it's not really consulting. It's just I'm here for you to pick my brain on anything you want to talk about. The last time we talked, kind of the 2 people I met with, we talked about careers and how to beat writer's block, and just anything you want to talk about, I'll be here. All right, so I'm going to do the same thing this year. All right, so just letting everybody know about that. You all are the first to hear that. And let's see. Okay, some more questions coming in. Celinda asks, is Beast Mode over? Yes, Beast Mode is over, Celinda. It ended yesterday, although technically it ended a couple days before that. So 10 books, 250,000 words, and I'm taking a break for a couple of days because, when I focus on writing, I find that I don't do the marketing as much, and I don't do some of the businessy stuff that I need to do. And so that's what I need to be doing right now. Okay, Stephanie, this is a really good comment. I've determined I need to make a character cheat sheet of supporting randomly appearing background characters so I don't have to look up eye color. Yeah, that is a really good point. How I have gotten around that is, and I write about this in my book, The Pocket Guide to Pantsing. You can look it up if you're interested, but I keep an outline as I go. And what I do is at the end of every chapter, after I write the chapter, I will write down like what happened. But then what I'll also do is I do this for the main characters. I don't do this for the minor characters. I probably should, but I write down character details. So what is the character wearing? Did they change any clothes? What is their eye color? What's their hair color? And all that. So that way, when I get to the next chapter, I force myself to go back to the outline and remember what I wrote. So that way everything it's more consistent. With some of my big series, like lately, what I've been doing is I actually keep track of all this in an Excel file. So I have an Excel file. It basically does the same thing, but I have it formatted to where I can just filter by character. And then I can see across all the books in the series how the characters' details have changed over time. That's a shortcut that has worked really well for me. But yeah, it's a problem, especially if you take a while to write a book, because you could write something in September and then in December you put that character back and then you forgot what you wrote. Like you think you remember, but then you forget like the little details. So I empathize. It is a problem. Okay, let's see here. Oh, Deborah asked, what is the code again for the discount? Happy to share that again, folks. If you buy any book from me directly on authorlevelup.com, you can get 15% off by using the code POWERHOUR. So that's authorlevelup.com/books. This does not apply to my novels yet. One of my goals in 2022 is to get michaellaron.com up and running with discount systems as well. But this applies to any of my writing books. So any book that I write on writing, you can get 15% off. And like I said, that's a standing discount. All right. Okay, James has got to go, but we'll be back for the next one. Well, hey, thanks for joining. Okay. Let's see here. Ah, Mike, thank you. The Pocket Guide to Pantsing is fantastic, and the section on looping is great. I've been using the process, and it's made finding information faster. Absolutely. Well, I'm glad you enjoyed it, Mike, and I appreciate you reading it. And great testimony. Testimonial. I shouldn't say testimony. It's not a religious experience, but it's a testimonial to the book. So glad you enjoyed it. Okay. Mavis asks, would you ever do a live showing how you write using a recorder? I can. I can. I've done a course on it. So I wrote a book called How to Dictate a Book, and that book comes with a free video course. It's authorlevelup.com/dictation book. Had to remember all the links, but that book comes with a free dictation course, and you can actually see how I record and how I dictate. But that's a really good suggestion for a video idea. I need to get back to doing videos here, and dictation is like top of my list, so I appreciate that. Let's see. You should post your Cash App if you have one. You're always dropping jewels. Thank you. Thank you. I don't have a Cash App, actually. I think I set up an account for Buy Me a Coffee, but I haven't activated it yet. Probably need to do that. Let's see. I always go back a lot to research what I had written about a character because there are often long pauses between my writing streak. Yeah, that's exactly what I was referring to, Black Hat. That is a legitimate problem. And the crazy thing is, those little details are the first thing readers see. So it doesn't matter whether you do what I recommended, but if you have some sort of system to figure out how to minimize those details, and then again, your editor can help you with that too. But that's the kind of thing you really don't want your editor. I mean, your editor will catch it, but you really don't want your editor focused on that, right? I mean, you want your editor focused on other stuff, and it just happens to be a benefit if they catch it. All right, so let's see here. Okay. Everyone was talking about drinks before the power hour. Oh, Travis said, so I grabbed a drink as well. Now I need to use the restroom. Okay. I probably shouldn't have read that out loud. Sorry for putting your business out there, Travis. But you did put your business on YouTube. So, whatever you put in a comment is liable to show up on screen. All right. So we are over. So let's get our timer on here. 11:26. We're going to come back at 11:26. And remember, folks, I will stay on and answer any questions you have. So keep the questions coming, and I'll keep the answers coming. And we got our final session here. So best of luck, everybody, and let's get it. All right, everybody, about 2.5 minutes left for our final break. All right, everybody. Sorry, I was in the middle of a task there. Let me know what your final word count was for this final session, and then your final word count for the day. I want to know. All right, take the timer off here. I kicked some butt today. I got a fair amount of work done on cleaning up my first book and getting all my book files in order. I got a new book description written. I'm ready to upload a new version to all retailers, and kind of got all my documentation and my paperwork for my cover designers and my editors, and just it's a lot of paperwork. Like this this spreadsheet that I'm putting together now, it's basically like a master. It's like a master file that has everything I need to know about all of my books. So if I get hit by a bus tomorrow, my family kind of knows what's going on with my stuff. I've got 85 different fields on this spreadsheet for one book, and a lot of it requires a lot of effort, effort to get this stuff done. Um, yeah, when you've published a lot of when you get a lot of books um, under your belt, you start to find that there's a lot of stuff that you have to keep track of, and it's kind of a pain, but it's necessary. Okay, so everyone's doing great. I'm seeing the word counts come in here. Rachel T 346 this round. Celinda got 3 pages done. Editing, great job. Vamp Bat 1973, 1,100 words total. Very, very nice. And Dharma, who's drinking her pumpkin spice latte with art in it, 248 words this session, 848 for the day. It's only mid morning. Nice. 2,500 words. That is a good day. That is a really good day. 1,400 words of 14, I didn't mean to say 1,400. I bet you would have loved to have 1,400 words or 1,400 pages under your belt in the last 20 minutes, Deborah, but sorry to crush your hopes there. All right. Sabrina, 238 for this last round. Total count of 630. Very, very nice. All right, Mike looped through 2 chapters and fixed some issues and updated my outline. Very nice. I can see the writing into the dark method working very, very well for you. And Black Cat altogether about 400 words. Okay. And Nicholas, 2,487 of editing, only another 500 words to meet my quota for the day. Very nice and very good to see you using a quota. That will work out very well for you in the long run. Okay, so close to 1,000 for the day, 947 total. 50 more words, just 50. All right. And Ruth says, yeah, the spreadsheet sounds amazing. Shows how writing and publishing is a business too. Yeah, it definitely is. And in this spreadsheet, it's gone through like, it's like this, it dies and then it comes back and then it dies. But I've committed to finally doing this. I've been doing something like this since like 2016, but I never really found a good format to do it in. And I didn't know what was important back then that I know is important now. And so at one point, this was a database and like a Microsoft Access file that I had going. But I realized that if I get hit by a bus tomorrow and someone needs to figure out what's going on with all my work, like 1% of the population knows how to use Microsoft Access. So and then 1% of that population enjoys Access. So I was like, I probably need to do this in an Excel. So maybe I'll write a book about that. I don't know. But I got this this template from M.L. Buckman, Buchman, and I just modified it to my needs. He wrote a book called Estate Planning for Authors, and I've been thinking about that a lot lately. I'm fine, but there's nothing crazy. But I realized that, if I get hit by a bus tomorrow, I'm kind of leaving a mess. So I'm trying to clean that up. And 2022 is going to be the year where I kind of take some steps to kind of clean everything up and get everything into a nice little bundle. Okay. Sabrina says, I'll be writing later today to finish chapter 4, 800 to 900 words short. Okay. Well, you can do it. You can do it. And Brian says, it's one of those administration and sorting my plot world building days. Got a lot done and ready to go to sleep. 2:30 a.m. Wow. Yes. If I remember, Brian, you're down under, if I remember correctly, and that is late. Is late indeed. Okay. Okay. So we're getting some questions in here. Okay, I'm flagging the questions so I can ask them. Okay, Dharma, thank you very much. I'm recommending your YouTube channel and my upcoming book about overcoming creative self-doubt. Please let me know when you publish that book, Dharma. I would love to share that with the community. That is an issue that I think a lot of us deal with, and so I can probably echo a lot of people saying they'd want to hear about it. So please write me, authorlevelup.com/contact, or my email is michael@authorlevelup.com. Let me know. Okay, did some edits. Went through Wanjiro went through my website to see how to tweak mine. I need a spreadsheet like yours. Share some insights. Yeah, maybe I'll share a template when it's done. The thing about sharing spreadsheets is that everybody likes to do their spreadsheets differently, and so yeah, I always feel a little. It's like I've got some egghead Excel skills, and I'm sure some people will be like, "What is he doing?" But maybe I will share it. Okay. Sabrina says, yeah, my day job is a data analyst. I can relate. Yes, absolutely 100%. Okay. Let's see here. Yeah, everyone's doing great. Deborah, I'm not going to laugh at your comment. I got hit by a bus once. Don't recommend it. And I will take your recommendation under advisement. I agree 100%. Okay. We got some questions that came in here. All right. So, and remember, I'll stay on till all questions are answered. So, what is the balance between letting an editor suggest changes and maintaining your voice in your work? How I view it, Rachel T, is, I don't know. I'm not going to put a number on it because people hear numbers and latch onto the numbers. I would say the majority of the time, super majority of the time, ultra super majority of the time. My camera's blurring out. I'm sorry. I was trying to convey a point. Ultra super majority of the time, your author voice should reign supreme. You're the author. You wrote the book, and it is what it is. All right. That's what I would recommend. I think when it comes to choosing an editor, I think it's important to choose an editor who um, understands your author voice and will not take steps to step in the way of that. There are some authors out there that will, or editors out there that will stomp on your author's voice. And I think it's very important to choose your editor carefully so that they're not doing that. That is a very important thing for me. All right. Let's see here. Okay. But yeah, I mean, most of my edits, I mean, my editors, I've kind of, they've worked with me long enough to kind of know, um, okay, here are the things that he's definitely looking for. Like when I'm not looking to do any kind of rewrites. I just don't believe in that. And so I have editors who are pretty good partners with me in that regard. All right. Wanjiru asks, and I hope I'm pronouncing your name correctly. Love your website. Who hosts it? I use Bluehost, and Bluehost has been great for the most part. I had a little snafu with them last month that I'm not happy about them. Happy about, but it was not a huge deal. But Bluehost has been my hoster for about since the beginning, since 2013 actually. And I've really enjoyed them. I mean, like I said, I've only had 2 issues with Bluehost. One happened last month, and then the other one happened back in 2013. And back in 2013, they were awesome. I called them and got someone on the phone right away. I was traveling. They took care of it. And back this last month, I wasn't that impressed with the customer service, but you know, we'll see. They get another strike, and then I might move. But I like them. They're fairly affordable. They're not the cheapest web hosting provider in town, but like I said, I've never had any major issues. Servers are usually never down, and they work really well. The theme that I use is Divi by Elegant Themes. That's Divi. You can check that out as well. If you're interested in affiliate links, authorlevelup.com/Bluehost. That'll let them know I sent you, and I get a commission if you buy through there. And then authorlevelup.com/elegant themes. And Divi is a really cool theme because it allows you to publish your website, and then you can actually edit your materials on your website, like on the actual page. Instead of having to go into a back end, you can actually pull up your page, make your edits in it, and then it edits it and updates it in real time, which I happen to like a lot. And there's a lot more programmers and developers who are specializing in Divi now because I think that's the future. And I've had Divi since 2015, and I've been very, very happy with Divi. So, oh boy, sorry about that, everybody. Sorry about my camera. Yeah, I don't know how long that was, and sorry if I caused anybody headaches. All right, so my camera's being a little funny today. Okay. Let's see. Nicholas asks, how can you talk about your work that you don't think is too good? I released a debut novel a few years ago, and I think it has issues. I think there was a second comment, Nicholas, and I missed that. I apologize. But I would say, Nicholas, if I were you, I would just not talk bad about the work at all. Just let it stand on its own. You know, send people to it. If you don't want to send people to it, that's your choice. But if it makes sense, send people to it, and let the work stand on itself. And if they don't like it, let them leave a review. So it's all you have to do. But I would not talk bad about the work. Let readers make that decision. I mean, just because sometimes the things that you think are issues are not actual issues for readers. And I know that sounds weird. Like, it's one thing if you've got a ton of typos or something, or you published a book and you didn't edit it, right? Or maybe it's got an ugly cover. Like, that's one thing. It's another thing if you think, I could have done a better job with the plot. Maybe readers don't mind. The reason I say this is because I'm looking at my first book right now, and I was going through the first chapter. This book has a lot of links in it, so I was checking all the links, and I was looking at the first chapter, and I'm like, man, I've come a long way since my first book. And is it perfect? No, it's not perfect, but there are people who have bought it over the years and who have enjoyed it, and the things that I thought were problematic didn't bother them at all. So, man, I'm sorry about my camera, guys. I don't know what's going on here. So, yeah, thank goodness we're at the final break here. So, yeah, just let your work stand on its own. Okay. Brian asked, does music have any role in helping you brainstorm your worlds? Do you have Spotify or any other music playlist help you write? Yeah, I don't use Spotify. I have Apple Music. I listen to a lot of music when I'm writing. Listen to a lot of jazz. Lately, I've been listening to one of my favorite bands, T Square. T Square and Cassiopeia, Japanese jazz fusion bands from 70s and 80s, and super prolific. I've learned a lot about being prolific from both of those bands because they have released a metric crap ton of albums, and it's amazing how consistent they have been over the years. And so I listen to a lot of that. I listen to a lot of jazz. I have a pretty eclectic music taste because I used to write music, used to be a musician. So, but yeah, it definitely helps me write. And I have lots of playlists, kind of based on mood and based on artists and stuff. So it kind of depends. But I like Apple Music personally. Spotify's okay, um, but Apple Music is better, in my opinion. All right. Travis Stoll, are book descriptions considered paratext? I guess. I mean, anything I write in a book description, I don't count it for my words for the day. Um, but probably you could consider it paratext. All right. Let's see here. Let's see what other questions have come in here. Oh, Deborah, thank you for providing that update. It took the front of my car off, but I wasn't hurt. I'm glad you weren't hurt. I'm glad you're still around to tell the tale. Man, that's crazy. It's crazy. All right. Let's see. Rachel T, being strong in your voice. I like that. Is it an idea to work with the same editor to create that symbiotic relationship? I wouldn't call it a symbiotic relationship. I would call it a partnership. I would say, um, yes, it is a good idea if you can to work with an editor and build that rapport. You know, um, and the reason for that. So I have an editor who has edited probably my last 30 books. Her and I work together really well. Um, she's she has her style, and that works really well with me. And it's to the point where I have, and I talk about this in a book that I'm going to be publishing here pretty soon. Um, I've created this editing workflow, and what it is I have a series of steps that I run my manuscript through, and at the end of running that manuscript through those steps, I can basically reduce the number of edits in my manuscript by like 50%. And one of those steps is a series of Microsoft Word macros that basically I've taken every edit that she has made for me in the past and I've fed it through this system that can catch any of those edits that I make before I send them to her next time. And we partnered together and worked on that. And she kind of gave me some feedback and helped me build that. And so that has worked really, really well. And so if you can work with an editor and build that relationship, then you can do some really cool stuff. That said, your first editor may not be your forever editor, right? And your fourth or fifth editor may not be your forever editor because people come in and exit the business all the time, and so but I've got a good thing going, and I'm taking advantage of it. But yeah, the same editor can definitely help you, and they start to learn your quirks and your weaknesses over time. So it's a good thing. Okay, let's see. Vamp Bat, how many books did you write before publishing your first book? I wrote zero point 0.5 books, zero point 0.3 books before publishing my first book, actually. So I have one manuscript, well, two manuscripts that I never finished, but one manuscript that I never finished. It was I guess you could call it like a time travel fantasy novel. I never finished it. I don't know why. It's on my list of things to do. I'd like to revisit it at some point. I've been thinking about it a lot lately. But I started that, but that was my first book, and in many respects, I just wasn't ready to write it. And then I pivoted to my first book, which was How to Be Bad, and then I later republished it as Magic Souls. So one book, but I wrote a lot of short stories and poems before I wrote that book. Okay, let's see. Christina Booth says, I'm struggling to nail down a premise for my novel. I have a bunch of scenes and chapters, but I'm not sure what the central idea is. Any tips to nail this down? Um, I would submit to you, Christina, that maybe you don't need to have an idea nailed down before you start. Maybe that's something that you find as you go. Um, I've never started a book that I was like, okay, I want it to be about this. Here's the central theme or premise. I just kind of write it. And then as you look back over the book, maybe you can start to piece together what that should be. I would not let that stop you from starting. I would just start and see where you end up. Okay, Sabrina asks, how do you work with your editor? Do you have a contract or do you pay a retainer fee? How I work with my editor is, we have a pretty good relationship to where I just email her and say, here's a new book. Can you have it to me by X date? And then she sends me an invoice, and then she usually sends it to me that day. In fact, she's supposed to send me a book today. And that's kind of how it works. I don't have a contract. I probably, with editors, I think a contract is always a good idea, no matter who you're working with. With editors, I'm not as worried about it because it's purely a performance thing, right? I mean, your editor, you send your book to your editor, you pay the editor sends you the book back. Cover designer, completely different story. I think you do need to have a contract with a cover designer because there's other things you have to consider. But editors, I don't really worry about it, and I'm very selective about who I work with from an editing standpoint anyway. Yeah, I don't pay a retainer fee. I probably could at one point I probably could. I send a lot of manuscripts to my editors every year, and I probably could. Um, work something out where I pay a flat fee per year or something, but I, I I'm not there yet. I'm not there yet, and that's like super high level stuff that doesn't apply to like 99% of you. So I wouldn't worry about it. Okay, Nicholas weighed in on the prior question about the novel. I don't have typos or anything. I think the issues are pacing and style. Yeah, I mean that's beauty's in the eye of the beholder. In the eye of the beholder, my friend. Okay. Wanjiru says, I wish I knew about Divi. Left Bluehost 3 months ago after 7 years because I couldn't handle the updates. Yeah, they have changed. They definitely have changed. Let's see here. Oh, Rachel says, I know it's an issue, but I love seeing the background. Well, thank you. Thank you. Yeah, Stephanie says, the camera has given me an otherworldly glow. We time traveled last time, so it's only fair. Touche. Touche. Okay. So Linda asked, there was a question of mastery and how many words you've written. So how many words have you written, and do you consider yourself a master of writing? No, I do not consider myself a master of writing. Not by a long shot. I have a long way to go. I have a lot to learn. And I don't know that there will ever be a day where I ever consider myself a master. Those words will never come out of my mouth. I'm forever a student of writing. To the earlier part of your question, how many words have you written? Very good question. Let me check. I'm looking at this spreadsheet right now, actually. 2.5 million words total is what I've written over the period of my author career. 2.5 million words. That includes all of my books through Beast Mode this year. 2.5 million, I don't think that's enough. I've been kind of brainstorming about, where I want to be at the end of my life in terms of what I've written. So so I've been thinking a lot about prolific writers. So Barbara Cartland, if you all know who Barbara Cartland is, she is one of the most prolific writers in the English language. She started publishing her first book at the age of 25. I think she was Princess Diana's godmother. By the way, she wrote lots of romance novels. I think she wrote some cookbooks, some other historical stuff. She started writing at age 25, which is ironically right about the age I started writing. She died at the ripe old age of 99 in 2001. At the time she died, she had written 723 books. So I'm thinking to myself, okay, I started publishing right around the same time. And if you do the math on her productivity, that's only like 9.5 novels per year. Well, heck, I'm breezing past that every year. So I don't know if I'm going to live to be 99 years old, but wouldn't it be cool if I did like 724 books just to beat, just to like get to that next level? So I've been thinking about that. And so how many words would that be? I don't know what the math is on that, but um, I don't know. Trying to shoot for maybe 100 million words. But the interesting thing is that the age of AI, that's going to change everything, right? So what it means to write a book now is not what it's going to mean 5 to 7 years from now. So I don't know what my full word count will be. I'm going way further down this path than you probably thought I was going to go, so Linda, but 2.5 million words. We'll keep it there. Okay. Does knowing what makes a story satisfying and easy to read ruin from authors who aren't experienced for you? Oh, hello, Vicky. No, not really. I just kind of when I pick a book to read, I read what I'm interested in, and every author has something to offer in a book. Even if you're not a master of your craft, I still think that there's something to be said about the story. So I read for enjoyment. It was harder when I first started writing because I felt like I could never turn the writing analysis part of my brain off when I would start reading stuff. But now I've learned to just turn it off and just read a book and enjoy it for what it is, warts and all. Retro. Okay, we were talking about the word symbiotic. I mean, money for them, understanding your voice for you. Curious if it's good or if it gets stale. Yeah. It works for me. It works for me. One of the things that I've tried to do is try to make my editors' lives as easy as possible. So investing in tools and investing in technology to help me produce cleaner manuscripts, I think is in my editor's best interests as well as my own. Because when you give your editor cleaner manuscripts, they tend to find more stuff. And I know that I've said that in the past and people have said, huh? What does that mean? I'm writing a book about it. But the cleaner your manuscripts are, the more your editor will love you, and you'll get better results. Okay. Yes, Sabrina, I would love to see a video on how you make a Microsoft Word macro for those edits. I'm so glad you asked that. That is so the next book I'm writing, or I've actually already written it. It's called The Author Editing Problem, and it's the last Beast Mode book that I wrote, or the last Beast Mode book that I'm publishing. I'm actually in the process today, so it's going to be a book, and I think the book is fairly short, but it's actually going to have a video course along with it. Where I talk about word macros and I actually show you how to install them, how to use them, and where I actually found the macros that I use. Because I had some built for this, but a lot of this I was actually able to use for free. And it's a tool that I think a lot of you would enjoy. Okay. Christina asks, I want to write under 2 pen names for 2 different genres. One of them is YA and the other is romance. Is this a smart idea? It depends. I mean, I think those two pen names are so different that, or those 2 genres are so different that it probably does make sense. Like for me, I'm starting to think that I started a pen name for urban fantasy. I'm starting to think I don't need it anymore, because everything I write is similar enough that I can make the book covers and the branding different enough that. And I can make the website experience on my site enough to where people can find what they're looking for quickly. With YA and romance, though, those are 2 completely different universes, right? So somebody who picks up your YA is probably not going to pick up your romance. So, maybe it does make sense. Everyone's different. Just remember, with the pen names, the problem with the pen names is that for every pen name, you've got to maintain that name and you've got to do twice as much work, right? Whereas if you have everything under one name, you don't have to do as much because it's all in one spot. But the problem is if you put everything under one name, the number one question that you've got to ask is, how do you get the right books to the right readers at the right time as quickly as possible? So if someone comes on your website, you don't want to give them analysis paralysis because, well, do I read the YA? Do I read the romance? Do I read the adventure? So a lot of that you have to make up for it with good website design. So there's pros and cons to either method. There's no wrong way. whatever way you choose, you just have to realize you're probably committing to it for longer than you may realize. Okay. Travis says, I'm currently working as an editor for a large company. I had to sign a contract to pay, but no deadline for completion was included. It sounds like the opposite of your relationship with your editor. Yeah. I work pretty fast, and I work very fast. And so I need an editor that can keep up with me. That's been one of my biggest problems. I can't wait a month to get an edit. Like I need it like within a week. So that's every relationship is different though. Christina, to continue her question on the pen names, should I wait to see how I do in one genre before jumping into another? No, I think you write whatever you want to write when you want to write it. You know, that's Michael Laron's opinion only. Um, I think you write the book that you're feeling the most into at the time, and if it happens to be a different genre, then it happens to be a different genre. But I think you probably do have to tie down that decision on the pen names before you do that, though, because you know, I'll give you a personal story. So I have a pen name for urban fantasy called ML McKnight, and one of the issues I'm having with it right now is I'm realizing I don't want to maintain a separate pen name for my fiction. So the problem I'm dealing with right now is, do I rebrand my Good Necromancer series into Michael Laron? Well, I'm gonna have to go back and get all my covers redesigned, and then I'm thinking about branding. It's kind of a mess. So just try to see as far as you can down the road on where you think you're going to be. It just may save you some time. Okay. All right, let's see here. Let's see. What's next here? Oh, okay. Brian asks, is there any genre of writing you have not written to date that you would like to write in order to grow as a writer? I'd like to write romance at some point. Um, I really enjoy reading it, and I would like to write a straight thriller at some point. I read a lot of. It's interesting. I think I'm kind of a closet thriller writer because everything I've written lately has had thriller pacing, but it's been like urban fantasy. So I'm kind of like I think if I had to describe myself as a writer, I would almost describe myself as like a suspense writer. But that comes with like different connotations. Like people, when they think suspense, they think romance or like stuff like that. I don't necessarily do that, but thrillers have rubbed off on me in ways that I don't think I have acknowledged. So at some point, I think I need to write a straight thriller. Okay, let's see here. Lots of questions. Okay. At what point is it considered plagiarism? Well, it's considered plagiarism when you are, when people start pointing fingers and saying, this looks very, very similar to what you have written. There's a difference between copyright infringement and plagiarism. Copyright infringement is when you take words word for word and put them into your own work. Plagiarism is when you take the spirit or you take the structure of something and it's so similar that it's too close for comfort. And those aren't the official definitions. The best thing you can do, I mean, artists imitate. That's an important part of being an artist, but you don't want to plagiarize. You know, always write everything in your own words. You can be inspired by something. There's nothing wrong with that, and I think that's a good thing. But don't steal other people's work. And the line can be thin sometimes. Vicky asks, "Are you planning to branch into audiobooks with all your work?" Vicky, the answer is yes. I actually built an audio booth studio, like a booth behind me. But my problem with audiobooks is it is so difficult. Like, it's not difficult, it's just so time consuming. Like, I can only record audiobooks in the morning. So if I record an audiobook in the morning, that means I don't write. And audiobooks take a lot of time and effort. And yeah, I'm really struggling right now with just finding the right time. I mean, in a perfect world, I would narrate all of my audiobooks, and that the narrated I would narrate all the audiobooks to my writing books, and those would be available shortly after I published the ebook and paperback. It's just not that easy, unfortunately. I'm really looking forward to audio AI, and in fact, I was just having a conversation with a gentleman from an AI company this past week, and their technology has come really far. Like so far, it's kind of scary. I think we're on the cusp of being able to get AI narrated audiobooks for cheaper than you might think. I think that is probably going to be the route that I go for the foreseeable future. I think once I become a full time writer, if I'm fortunate enough to do that, I think I'll jump into audio a little bit deeper. But it's just tough right now, and I can spend a lot more. I can spend more on ads and get a better return on my money than investing in audio right now. So audio is kind of a tough area. I would like to do a lot more of it, but I'd go bankrupt if I hired narrators. Wanjiro asks, you have your books at several outlets. Do you have an assistant to keep up with that? What do you think of Amazon exclusivity? I do have several assistants who help me with some things here and there. I don't ask for help with that, mainly because, and this is something I wish retailers would do. Retailers don't allow. I don't want to give my passwords to anybody to help me manage my stuff. What I wish retailers would do, and I've written about this in some of my books, my series Indie Author Confidential. What I wish they would do is allow someone to have like access levels. So like you can have an assistant or someone to help you. They can go into your Amazon account and they can update, a book, but they don't have access to your payment information. They don't have access to your sales info. The only thing they can do is help you manage your books. I don't know why retailers haven't done that. It would be a blessing if they did, but no. The second part of your question, Amazon exclusivity, I think it's fine, but it's not something I would do long term. So like right now, I have my Good Necromancer series in Amazon exclusive. That's 2 books. My other 64 books are not exclusive to Amazon. And the reason for that is because I don't want to put all my money in the Amazon basket because, these retailers, they can and do cancel people's accounts for reasons that sometimes we don't know. And a lot of times it's because of a bot or an algorithm or something. So you could wake up one day and have your Amazon account canceled, I would hope that wouldn't happen to me, but if it does, at least Amazon's not my only stream of income. All right. So short term, I see no problem with KDP Select. I think you should certainly check it out and see if it works for you. But long term, it's just not a smart start. It's not a smart plan. Okay. Okay. We Bran missed the writing part of the Power Hour, but certainly welcome. Certainly welcome. All right. Okay. What has been your genre of choice that has brought you the most success? Definitely fantasy. Definitely fantasy. It's why I have switched to writing almost fantasy exclusively. I did have some success with science fiction. My Android X series did pretty well, but fantasy for sure. My best rated books have been fantasy for sure. But I am going to get back to sci-fi at some point. Let's see. Vicky, do you think you should stick it out for ideas that really excite you after the writing of them have lost their luster or just move on? Vicky, I think you're referring to what I like to call the honeymoon phase. It's when you start a novel or a book and you get about 25% of the way through. 25% of the way through, sorry. 25% of the way through, and then you're like, no, I don't want to write this anymore for whatever reason. All right. I think you should stick through it. You should stick through it no matter what. I think it's important because there's going to be some books that you start them and then they fade. But then if you just stick through it and you get another 10 to 15% through it, you start to feel better about the book. That 25% mark, 30% mark, it really sucks. And then, but when you get to the end of the book, you look back at that and you're like, why did I ever feel that way about the book? It's fine. But a lot of people quit around that mark. And if you can stick through it, I think you'll be pleasantly surprised. There's not been, let me put it this way. There's not been a single novel that I have started, Vicky, that I did not feel that way about. But when I finished it, I was like, oh, okay, not a big deal at all. Let's see. Vicky said, recently I was asked if I copy and paste other people's words into my stories and then rewrite them. I do, but everyone else said no. Now I wonder if Steal Like an Artist is socially acceptable. I'm not sure what you're referring to, Vicky. Yeah, I mean, I would not recommend that. If you are, it's one thing, like I said before, it's one thing to be inspired by other people. One of the things that I've done in the past is if I want to learn how an author did something, like I read something and I say, wow, how did the author do that? Like sometimes what I'll do is I'll open up like a Word doc and I'll type in their words just so I can analyze them and so I can see how they did it. But I would not recommend taking someone else's words and putting it into your manuscript. You tell me if I'm misunderstanding you, but would not recommend that. Let's see. Celinda asks, when you discover what works in an area, can you share about the AI audio? Absolutely, absolutely. If you guys want to have your heads explode, go to a website. It's called SpeechKey, SpeechKI.org, and listen to those samples that they have on their website. I think you will be shocked at how far AI audio has come. SpeechKey.org, SpeechKI.org. That's all I'll say. VampBat 1973. How do you know if the books are good enough to publish, especially if you don't think it is as the one who wrote it? Here's what I'll say to that, VampBat. I publish everything I write. I commit to finishing everything I write. And I commit to making that book, from an objective standpoint, as high quality as possible. Now, I'm not talking about the story. I do the best I can with every story I write. I go hard. I do the best I can. But I'm talking about quality here. So making sure that the story is internally consistent, I can control that. And I talked about outlining earlier here. I don't outline before I write, but I outline as I go. So I can keep track of character details and inconsistencies and setting problems and all that stuff, because that improves the reader experience. I hire a copy editor and a proofreader for all of my novels and most of my nonfiction for writers. I try to design the best covers that I can. I try to do the best job I can with formatting the book. Objectively, from a quality perspective, I do everything I can to make sure that the reader has the best possible experience. Whether they enjoy the story or not, that's up to them. And there'd be some people that are going to buy the book and maybe they're having a bad day, or there can be some people that buy the book and it turns into the best thing that they've read all year. I have no idea. Some people fall within the middle. But at the end of the day, I don't know any of that until I publish it. And I just have the courage to put something out there and do the best job I can, even if it flops. I'm going to publish 14 books this year. I have not a clue if any of those are going to resonate with anybody. I have no idea. Some of them are. Some of them are going to miss. Like this next book I'm writing, The Author Editing Problem, I actively tell people, you probably don't want to read this book in the very beginning because it's not going to apply to most people, and there's some advanced stuff in it. It just is what it is. But I believe in myself, and I know the process that I'm following from a quality perspective, and I know the quality of the books that I'm putting out. And at that point, let the readers decide. And sometimes you may be pleasantly surprised. And if not, it doesn't matter because you're writing the next book. All right. Let's see. Vicky, would you consider writing serialized thriller novellas on a platform like Amazon? Probably not. I'm not on the Kindle Vella train. Might I consider it at some point? Maybe. I'm still salty at the fact that Amazon had the chance to do this 10 years ago and they didn't do it. And now they're doing it. You know, this could have been huge in 2020, 2012, but hey, I'm just a salty dude. All right. Yeah, Sandy makes a good point. If you don't stick through it, the characters will haunt you at night. Very, very true. All right. Pierre asks, when you write a book, do you consider the amount of words you'll have at the end? Like, do you restrict yourself to a certain number? No, I let every book turn into what it's going to be. When I write a series, ironically, and I don't know why this is, it just happens every time. Um, every book I write in the same series ends up being right about the same amount of words. I don't do anything to try to control it or influence it. I kind of write it. Like this Good Necromancer series I'm writing right now, it's kind of scary how every book ends at almost 50,000 words. Like I don't plan it. It just book 1 was like 50,000 on the dot. Book 2 was like 50,200. Book 3 was like 50,100. It just kind of happens. I would not recommend trying to restrict yourself to a certain number or try to hit a certain number. Readers won't. I have a theory, and it's just Michael Laron's theory. I could be wrong. But my theory is that if you tell the story you need to tell, readers are not really going to care about the length. But if you pad the story or if you try to cut the story down to fit a certain length, then I think readers will notice and they won't like that more than if you just left the story alone. That's kind of my thought. Oh, Vicky is clarifying what she was saying earlier. I meant using their words as a prompt. Okay. When someone writes an idea I've been working at but haven't found the right word to explain it, I paste it into my outline and rewrite in terms of my story. Is there a second post? Okay, maybe not. Yeah, I still would be careful about that, Vicky. There is, in copyright infringement lawsuits, there is such a thing as unconscious copying. So you kind of have to be careful of that as well. But thank you for clarifying what you were talking about. Kevin Whip, any tips for overwriters? I've got a debut novel and it's at 180K. Concerned that I need to developmental edit, but also agree with your arguments on not pursuing that type of edit. Yeah, Kevin, I would say, how do you know you overwrote it? I don't know. I mean, maybe you didn't. Maybe your 180K book is as long as it needs to be. I don't really know. What I would say is as you're editing it or as you're self-editing it, just kind of listen to what your gut's telling you. What I would also say is, you might be a good candidate for beta readers. I mean, I would be careful to not edit by committee. I mean, don't water your story down and don't, just because someone recommends something doesn't mean you have to change it. To go back to Rachel T's comment earlier, I think your author voice needs to be supreme. And I think, if you hire beta readers, just make sure you're standing up for your work and defending it. But see what they say. I mean, do they say that this was overly long and there were lots of stuff that could be cut? I would get feedback from them and see what they say, because what you think is overwriting maybe you didn't write enough. I mean, I'm not telling you to go back and make it 300K, but lately I've been trying to challenge people on when they say that they think something's wrong with their work. Is it really because there's something wrong with the work, or is it because it's something that you think? Is it something that you perceive? Because it could be that 180K is not a problem at all. And it depends on the genre you're writing too. I'd be curious to know what kind of genre you're writing. Yeah, Travis says, I think copy and pasting someone else's work is a dangerous practice because you're cheating yourself of finding your own voice. Yeah, I would say that too. Let's see. Rachel, what would you consider a realistic upfront cost for self-publishing your first book? Okay, so I will give you all some numbers. I was in a speaking engagement early this year where people started throwing stones at me. I'm just going to give you the information. You do with it what you will. At a minimum, to self-publish a book, you need to pay for an editor and you need to pay for a cover designer. There are other expenses that you can make, but those are the minimum expenses you need to pay to be able to publish a book. A cover designer these days is anywhere from, well, it depends on the type of cover you want. You can do a cover yourself, which will cost you, you'd have to pay for like Adobe InDesign or Adobe Photoshop or like Affinity Designer. So you'd have the cost of the program, whatever program you use. So that's like a X. And then the cost of any art and fonts that you would want to license, which, you can go to Deposit Photos and get a photo for like $1 if you pay for a plan. You can get a photo on Shutterstock, I think, for anywhere from 30 to $50. And that's what it would cost you. Depends on how many you need and so on and so forth. All right. So that's if you're doing it yourself. If you hire a designer, there's three ways you can go. The first way is you can do a pre-made cover, which you can get a pre-made cover as low as $40 or as high as $200. I think the lower the better personally, but that's Michael Laron's opinion. If you're going to pay for a pre-made cover, I would not pay $200 for a pre-made. But there are pre-mades out there that are that expensive. And then the second way you can go is you can hire a designer, and a average designer is going to, the costs have gone up over the last few years, but I would say you could probably find a designer anywhere from $300 to $400, all the way up to $700 to $800. And just because you pay more for a designer does not mean you're getting a better design. It depends on what you're looking for, their experience, sometimes where the designer lives, and their lifestyle has more of an impact on their price than their experience. And I'm probably going to get stones thrown at me for saying that, but just going to call it like it is. So find the best designer for your work is what I would say. And then the third route is I would say is you can get an illustration. And this sometimes may be a better route for people who want a person of color on the cover, because it's just not easy to find people of color. So sometimes it's easier to illustrate that. Or if you want a specific scene that you want done on your cover. All right, so illustrations will cost you a little bit more than that. You're probably looking at $500 to maybe up to $1,000, maybe more. All right, editing. You guys know I don't believe in developmental editing, so I would at least at a minimum recommend a copy editor. If you can afford it, I would also recommend a proofreader. You can find a copy editor for whatever your budget is. So, you could find a copy editor for a 50,000 word book. You can find a copy editor for $200 to $400. And if you don't even have that, you could probably find someone who will do it for cheaper. And people get mad at me for saying that. It's funny because people get mad at me for saying stuff like that. I'm just giving you the truth. You can pay more for a copy editor if you want, if it's the right editor for your work, but that doesn't mean that you have to, right? You just want to find the right fit, all right? And then that's it. So, if you're paying, just say $300 for a cover design and then another $300 for a copy edit, you can probably do it for like $600. Okay. Your mileage may vary. All right. Let's see. Oh, thank you, Vampat. I appreciate your kind words. Okay. Darren, I'm so salty I give you high blood pressure. Well, make sure you take your statins today. All right. Let's see. Hey, Dale L. Roberts is in the house. My buddy Dale. Dale and I did an interview. I interviewed Dale at Self PubCon. That's going to be coming up next week. Dale is giving all the secrets on how to write nonfiction. So please check that out. Selfpublishingadviceconference.com. Dale and I are going to be appearing there. All right, let's see here. Wanjiro, I write nonfiction. I'm publishing the first book of a series and have written book 1 at the end. Do you think I should alert the reader to the volume at the volume on the cover? Yes, you can. You can. It depends on the book. Like my writing series, I don't put volumes on the cover, but I do put volumes in the metadata. If you feel that this is set in stone, this will be the first book in the series, and you want people to know that on the cover, sure, I don't see a problem with it. I don't do that on my series because I write so many writing books that I don't necessarily know at the end of the day, when it's all said and done, what order you should read them in. So I don't put a number on them because they range from a lot of different topics. Okay, let's see here. Yeah, Sendratic makes a really good point about length, Kevin. We were talking about length. There's a big audience for long books, especially in the audiobook market, because people use tokens on Audible. Yeah, there's some people who won't use their Audible credits for anything less than 20 hours. So there is that, assuming you can afford to get your book into audio in the future. Okay, Kevin says he writes sci-fi. Okay, yeah, sci-fi can, depending on the subgenre, it can take longer books for sure, for sure. I don't think people would bat an eyelash in sci-fi or even epic fantasy. 180K romance, I don't know about that, but who am I, right? Okay, Sandy, given a price reference here, I've got an editor who I go to who's right around 425 for a 90K to 100K fiction novel. Yeah, so yeah, if the editor works really well with you, to me that's what matters more than anything else. I think there's a lot of people out there who just they will pay a lot of money because they think they're going to get a certain type of product, but that's not always the case. All right, let's see here. Yeah, Kevin says, I'm so inspired now. I should get back to editing, but I'm enjoying this live presentation so much. Well, you guys, I tell you, I told you I'll stay on until all the questions are answered. Designers are worth their weight in gold, Sandy says. Her day job is magazine publishing. Absolutely. Absolutely. And I'll tell you something else, Sandy. I'm currently exploring doing my own cover designs. And I have my reasons for it. But I like working with a designer better. I really do. Let's see. Syndratic, any tips for spending too much time on unproductive stuff like watching shows or researching stuff that I don't really need? A lot of it is willpower, Syndratic. I hate to tell you that. It's willpower. It's just, if you don't want, if Netflix is your Achilles heel, then don't watch as much Netflix. When I started writing, I stopped watching television almost altogether. It's scary how little television I watch. But it just depends on, and I'm not saying everyone here should stop watching TV, but if there's something if you really want to write, you'll find a way around those roadblocks. So, audit your time. Where are you spending your time? Just pay attention to that. I think some people will be surprised at where they spend their time. Like you think you're doing one thing, but you're actually spending your time doing something else. And the way I've learned to be super productive is I am ruthless about my time. I control my clock like a despot, and that's worked really well for me. Let's see here. Pierre, I've read many authors have a degree in creative writing and such. Is it required to be a good writer? Absolutely not. Absolutely not. I mean, I have an English degree, and I wouldn't trade that for the world. I really enjoyed my time in the English department. I had a lot of good mentors who fostered me and encouraged me to write. That said, they didn't teach me a thing about self-publishing. And also, they really didn't teach me a thing about writing craft. They were really just there to encourage me. But if I could go back and restructure a curriculum to an English department or creative writing, I probably would get locked up because they'd say I was crazy, but it would be a lot more effective. I think that if you gave me 15 college students and gave me 4 years to turn them into better writers, I could do a better job at a better price than your typical college. That's not to say that I don't think people should go to college, but I think college puts a lot of misinformation in people's minds. They're still operating, I think, back in what used to be the traditional days. Self-publishing is still just a whisper there, from what I can tell. So, no, you don't need a college degree to be a good writer. Let's see here. Yes, Sandy says I canceled cable. Period. Yeah, I don't have cable either. I have never had cable. Can you believe that? I've never had cable. The last time I had cable, actually, no, that's not true. I had cable when I was in college. My roommates and I, we all chipped in and bought cable together, but I never watched it. They watched it. I just was doing my share. Joanna Cruz says Netflix is my life suck. It can be, that's for sure. Although I did watch some Netflix the other day. I was watching. My daughter likes a show called Sexy Beasts. I don't know if you guys have seen that. That's kind of an interesting show. I did learn a few things about writing from that show. We must support TV writers. Well, we should support TV writers because my understanding is they may be going on strike here very soon. So definitely we should support them. I know you were joking, but and being facetious, but I'm going to take your facetious comment and make it real. All right. Let's see here. Yeah, Kevin mentions an Alpha Smart Neo. You're not the first person to mention that. That kind of device is not for me. But if it works for you, I would recommend people check it out. It is pretty cool. Well, hey, just that, John. Thank you so much. I don't have a Cash App, but just purchased 10 of my books. Well, thank you so much. I really appreciate that. So if you have any questions at all, just give me a ring. Michael at authorlevelup.com. Thank you so much. All right. Deborah, why do you think going to the Audible exchange to hire a narrator is expensive? It's very expensive. It's expensive because it is, Deborah. Let me put it this way. I'll give you some numbers. It would cost, basically, okay, so take your average book. So a 50,000 word book. I'm going to get out my calculator here. A 50,000 word book, the general rule of thumb for audio is that an hour of finished audio is about 9,300 words. All right, so 50,000 words divided by 9,300 is about 5.3 words. Now, if you have two choices in hiring an editor or a narrator on Audible or anywhere you decide to do an audiobook, Findaway Voices or Authors Republic. But you have two choices. The first choice is you could do some sort of a royalty share, which primarily exists on Audible, where there's no money up front, but you and the editor share royalties. All right. Most narrators don't like royalty shares. So you are automatically, if you do that route, you are automatically going to narrow your pool of narrators down to people who are probably just starting off or people who are not as good. All right. So if you want a quality narrator, which means you pay them up front per finished hour, you have to pay them a certain rate per finished hour. So the good narrators start, and that's when I say start, I mean you're getting good narrators, but they're not great narrators, right? They start at $200 an hour. So for a 500 word book, a 5.3 hour book, that's $1,000. That's $1,000, $1,100 right there. My friend Kevin would be paying a substantially more for an audiobook for $100K. All right, so that's why it's expensive. I mean, you could put yourself in the poorhouse going to publish audio books for your fiction. That's why I haven't done it as much for my fiction. And for fiction, I really only do it if it's a series that's selling well. If it's selling well, then I'll pay the money. But man, it is expensive. Hope that helps. Let's see here. Hey, Syndratic, I might limit myself only to watching an hour before bed or when I eat. Yeah, I mean, just find a way to replace it. I think of it like a meal replacement. Like is there one meal a day you can replace with fruits and vegetables? Okay, that's cheesy. I'm just gonna stop. Okay, let's see here. Yeah. Sandy says there are some narrators that readers follow. You can spend a couple grand for a fancy narrator that is guaranteed to sell, but yeah, it's never a sure thing with audio. The nice thing about audio, though, is that the sales are a lot stickier. So if you have a book that does well in audio, it tends to do well for a lot longer than, say, an ebook. But that's really the difference. So I hope that answers your question, Deborah. I know you had mentioned royalty share. There's nothing wrong with a royalty share, but it's seven. I think it's 7 years, or I think Audible, they may have dropped it down to 5. I can't remember if they've updated that or not. But most of the really good narrators are not doing royalty shares anymore. Flashback to 7 years ago, that was a different story. But now most aren't messing with it. All right. So, wow, this has been a long power hour. It's been great. I love answering everyone's questions. Just a quick reminder, if you're interested, I've got this story bundle, 16 books. One of my books is in it to help you prepare for NaNoWriMo. authorlevelup.com/nano bundle if you are interested. And I'll put this on here a final time. Anyone who would like to buy any of my books, 15% off as a thank you for coming to the Power Hour. All right. So those are all the questions, folks. My tummy is rumbling, so I need to go get some lunch. But hope everybody has a great day. Happy writing. And the next Power Hour will be on Saturday, November 6th. Saturday, November 6th at 10 a.m. Central Time. All right? So take care. Have a wonderful day. And have a great rest of your weekend.